For today's lesson, we will begin working with number lines, and our two standards are to find and position integers and other rational numbers on a horizontal or vertical number line diagram, and interpret statements of inequality as statements about the relative position of two numbers on a number line diagram. Excuse me. So when we look at a number line, we are essentially doing what the name says. We're putting numbers on a line. And we can put a number line either horizontally or vertically. And it's important to know the difference between the two. So if the line goes from left to right, that is our horizontal number line. And on a horizontal number line, as you move to the right on the number line, the numbers increase in value. So the farther right you go, the higher the value of the number. If the number line is going up and down, then that is your vertical number line. And on a vertical number line, as you move up, the numbers increase in value. And as one of my students said today, the higher the number on the number line, the higher the value. The lower the number is on the number line, the lower value it is. And I can't say it any better than that. So if we want to draw a horizontal number line to represent the whole numbers between 5 and 12. So since we want a horizontal number line, we want one that goes from left to right. And when I draw my number line, I put the arrow on the left-hand side, but I don't put the arrow on the right-hand side because I don't know if that line is long enough and I might need to extend it later. So I just leave the arrow off for now and I'll put it on when I'm done. When drawing the horizontal number line, I am looking for effort to make sure that you have made an attempt to make that line straight. You don't have to use a ruler, you don't have to use a straight edge, but you do have to put in effort to make sure that that line is straight. Okay, so we've got our horizontal number line, and we want it to represent the whole numbers. Well, the whole numbers are your counting numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. They are whole numbers, there aren't pieces, there aren't fractions or decimals involved. And since we want whole numbers between 5 and 12, that's going to help us determine what numbers we put on our number line. So we start on the left-hand side, and on the left-hand side is where we're going to put our lowest number, the lowest value. Okay, but we have to make sure that the number fits the other criteria. So we want whole numbers between 5 and 12. So the first number on our number line is going to be 6 because that is the first whole number that would be between 5 and 12. As I put numbers on the number line, once I've made that second mark, I've now established the spacing that I'm going to put between the numbers. And the next number that goes on the number line is 7. So I didn't measure it, I didn't take out a ruler. So again, I'm not looking for it to be perfect, but I'm looking to see that you've made an effort to space out the numbers appropriately. So the next number that we would put on the number line is 8. And since the distance between 6 and 7 is the same distance between 7 and 8, I'm going to look to see, did you make an attempt? Did you put effort in to space these out appropriately? So again, you don't have to measure unless you absolutely want to, but as long as you make a valid attempt to put that mark in about the same spot, you'll be fine. So after 7 is 8, after 8 is 9, after 9 is 10, and after 10 is 11. And I don't want to put 12 because I just want the numbers between 5 and 12. And so I put my arrow on the end. For our next example here, we're drawing a vertical number line. Well, the vertical number line goes up and down. So on this one, I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. And again, I'm not looking for it to be absolutely perfect, but I am looking for an attempt to get that line straight. Okay. And with our vertical number line, we do start at the bottom with our lowest number. So once again, we are representing the whole numbers. So those are your counting numbers. But this time we're going from 5 to 12. Well, since we're going from 5 to 12, we are going to start with 5 this time. And as we go up, our numbers are going to increase in value. So now that I've made that mark there for 6, I've established my spacing. So I'll put 6 in, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now when I get to 10, you'll notice that I've run out of room on my line and I have the problem sitting in front of me. So what I'm going to do in situations like this, I'm just going to take my line and I'm going to extend it through. I'm not going to make a second line. I'm not going to finish it somewhere else. I'll just go ahead and go through the problem that I'm given. I'll put on 11, I'll put on 12, and then top it off. Okay. Do not start a line in one place and finish it somewhere else. Just make it one continuous line. Okay. So here we've got a couple more examples. We're going to draw a horizontal number line represents each set of whole numbers. So for number 1, we're going to start with that horizontal number line. And we want positive. Positive means greater than 0. We want whole numbers, and they need to be less than 5. So our first positive whole number less than 5 is 1. We go 2, 3, and 4. And we don't include 5 because we want numbers that are less than 5. We don't include 0 because 0 is not a positive number. For number 2 here, once again, we're going to draw that horizontal number line. And we want whole numbers greater than 9, but less than 14. So our first number would be 10, because that's the first whole number that's greater than 9. Then 11, then 12, and then 13. Because 13 is less than 14. Now we want to draw a vertical number line to represent each set of whole numbers. So for number 3, we're going to have that vertical number line, and we want odd numbers between 1 and 10. So we need to know what odd numbers are. Odd numbers are ones that you cannot divide evenly by 2. Okay, so again, we start at the bottom. Since it says between 1 and 10, we can remember our previous example where it said between 5 and 12. We did not include 5 and 12, so in this one we're not going to include 1 and 10. So we're looking at the odd numbers between 1 and 10. We'll start at the bottom with 3, and then 5, and then 7, and then 9. Now for this one, we do have another option for how our number line could look. And this is a strategy that will actually help us on some later examples that we have. So I'm going to draw a second number line here just to show you how this could look a little bit different. I'm still going to start at 3. But then this next mark is going to represent 4. But since I only want the odd numbers on the number line, I'm not going to label it. I'm just going to leave it blank. And then my next mark up would then be 5. I'd make the mark for 6, but not label it. Then I do 7, make the mark for 8 and not label it, and then put the mark for 9. So that would be another option when creating your number lines, is you can put all the numbers on there and just label the ones that are specified. So for number 4 here, I want positive odd numbers less than 15. So again, I start at the bottom. Well, if I want positive odd numbers less than 15, well, 1 is the first positive odd number that's less than 15, then 3, then 5, then 7, then 9, then 11, and 13. Excuse me. And then you have the same option there. You can make the marks for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Just don't label. And then finally for this morning, we're just going to do some comparing. And this is a skill that should be review for you. You should have compared numbers before. So if we compared 23 to 45, we know that 23 is less than 45. And I'm sure that you've been taught this somewhere before. that it's either an alligator or a shark, or my personal favorite, Pac-Man, is that it's hungry, so it eats the larger number, if you think of that as a mouth. So for number 6, 318 is greater than 183. For number 7, 1,405 is greater than 541. And number 8, 9,909 is less than 9,990. And that's all for today's lesson. As always, I hope this helps.